bucket tips in slow motion, water splashing onto a pristine suit, followed by a woman's shocked gasp. Cut to a torn sketch hitting wet pavement, dramatic violin sting. A billionaire's empire hides a devastating lie. One spill could unravel it all. She's a nobody with a secret he can't face. He's a king with everything to lose. One wrong hug sparks a storm. Will love survive the wreckage? Or will the truth drown them both? Dive in now. Where are you watching from? Drop it below. And subscribe so we can redraw this tale together. Ren Carter didn't see the CEO coming, only the mop, the bucket, and the spectacular disaster of her own making. It was 6:47 a.m. on a gray Seattle Monday, the kind of morning where the clouds hung low over the city like a damp blanket, and the gleaming glass tower of Apex Technologies loomed above her like a judgmental giant. She was halfway through her shift, dragging a cleaning cart through the pristine lobby, her sneakers squeaking faintly against the polished marble. Her hands were raw from bleach, her back ached from bending over floors, and her mind was elsewhere, back in the crumbling apartment in Rainier Valley where her mom had coughed through the night again. She didn't hear the elevator ding. She didn't notice the soft hum of expensive shoes stepping out onto the floor. All she knew was that her mop slipped, her elbow jostled the bucket, and then, splash, a wave of soapy water erupted across the lobby like a tidal wave in miniature. Ren froze, wide-eyed, as the mess spread toward a pair of gleaming black loafers. She lunged forward, desperate to stop it, but her foot caught on the wet marble. She was falling, fast, and out of pure instinct she grabbed the nearest thing to steady herself. That thing turned out to be a man. A tall, broad-shouldered man in a charcoal suit so sharp it could have cut glass. Her arms wrapped around his waist, her cheek smashed against his chest, and for half a second she thought she'd caught herself. Then she felt the dampness seeping through his shirt, her water, her mess, and heard the stunned gasps from somewhere behind her. Ren's heart sank like a stone. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," she yelped, jerking back so fast she nearly toppled again. Her hands flailed, still clutching his lapels, as she looked up into the face of the man she'd just assaulted with a hug. He was, well, gorgeous didn't quite cover it. Dark hair swept back just so, a jawline that could have been chiseled by Michelangelo, and gray eyes that pierced through her like storm clouds rolling in off Puget Sound. But those eyes weren't warm. They were cold, sharp, and pinned her in place. "You owe me a new suit," he said, his voice low and clipped, every syllable dripping with authority. Ren blinked, her brain scrambling to catch up. Around them, a small crowd of suits, executives she guessed, had frozen mid-step, their mouths half open in shock. A woman with a sleek bob whispered something to a man in glasses, and Ren caught the words CEO and Carter. Her stomach dropped further. Soren Carter, the Soren Carter, the reclusive tech genius who ran Apex like a king on a chessboard, and she'd just drenched him in dirty mop water. I thought you were a Pole or something," she blurted, then winced. "A Pole? Really, Ren?" She waved her hands, trying to salvage the wreckage. "I mean, not that you look like a Pole. You're very un-Pole-like. Solid. Sir, I'm so sorry." Her cheeks burned hotter than a Seattle summer, which wasn't saying much. But still, she wanted to melt into the floor and disappear. Soren raised an eyebrow, his expression unreadable, though a faint twitch at the corner of his mouth betrayed him. "A Pole," he repeated, almost to himself, as if testing the absurdity of it. He brushed a damp spot on his sleeve, then looked back at her, those gray eyes narrowing. "Most people don't mistake me for inanimate objects." Ren forced a laugh, high-pitched, nervous, awful. "Yeah, well, most people don't spill their entire shift on the CEO either. First time for everything, right? Everything can be redrawn." She cringed internally. It was something her mom used to say when she'd smudge a sketch as a kid. Just redraw it, start over. Now it sounded like the dumbest thing she'd ever said, but then something unexpected happened. Soren's lips curved, just a fraction, into what might have been a smirk. Or a smile. It was gone so fast she couldn't tell, but it was there. A crack in the ice. "Redrawn," he murmured, his gaze lingering on her a beat too long. The executives behind him coughed awkwardly, shuffling papers, clearly unsure how to process this breach of protocol. Before Ren could dig herself deeper, a security guard in a black uniform materialized beside Soren, his bulk looming over her like a brick wall. "Mr. Carter, is everything all right?" His voice was gruff, his eyes sizing her up like she might be a threat or a lunatic. Ren shrank back, clutching her mop like a lifeline. "Everything's fine, Mike," Soren said, waving him off without breaking eye contact with her. "Just a minor flood." He straightened, smoothing his ruined suit as if it didn't matter, though she knew that fabric probably cost more than her rent. "What's your name?" "Ren," she said, barely above a whisper. "Ren Carter. No relation," she added quickly, then groaned inside. "Why did I say that?" The guard snorted, but Soren's expression didn't shift. "Ren," he echoed, tasting the word. "Finish your shift, then come to my office. We need to discuss this." He gestured vaguely at the puddle, the suit, her, everything, then turned on his heel and strode toward the elevators, leaving a trail of damp footprints and stunned silence in his wake. Ren stood there, mop dripping, as the executives dispersed, whispering furiously. "Great," she muttered to herself, shoving the bucket aside. "First I drown the guy, then I hug him, and now I'm summoned to the throne room. Perfect Monday." She glanced at the mess, her mess, and felt a pang of dread. She couldn't afford to lose this job, not with Mom's meds piling up and the landlord breathing down her neck. But something else gnawed at her too. Those gray eyes, that fleeting smirk. Soren Carter wasn't just mad, he was intrigued. Back at her cart, she wrung out the mop, her hands trembling. She'd seen his face on magazine covers, Forbes, TechCrunch, always stern, untouchable, a 30-year-old prodigy who'd turned Apex into a billion-dollar empire. And now, he knew her name. "Ren Carter, you idiot," she thought. "What have you done?" She didn't notice the faint smile tugging at her own lips as she resumed scrubbing. She didn't catch the way her heart skipped, replaying that moment, her arms around him, his voice in her ears. And she certainly didn't see Soren, up in his corner office 30 floors above, staring out at the rain-slicked city, his fingers brushing the damp spot on his shirt. He didn't move for a long time, lost in thought, until his assistant knocked, and he snapped back to the present. "Mike," he called through the intercom, his tone cool again. "Find out everything you can about Ren Carter, the janitor." He paused, then added, almost to himself, "She's interesting." Outside, the rain picked up, drumming against the glass, a quiet promise of chaos, and maybe something more. Ren stood outside the frosted glass doors of Soren Carter's office, her damp sneakers sinking into the plush carpet like they didn't belong there. Because they didn't. It was 6:15 p.m., the end of her shift, and the Apex Tower had quieted to a hum, the kind of stillness that made her feel smaller than she already was. Her cleaning uniform hung loose on her frame, the faded blue fabric patched at the elbow, and her hands still smelled faintly of bleach despite scrubbing them raw in the break room sink. She clutched a crumpled note from her supervisor. "Carter wants you, 30th floor," and tried to steady her breathing. This was it. She was either getting fired or sued, and neither option left room for the stack of bills waiting back home. The door slid open with a soft hiss, and a woman in a crisp blazer, Soren's assistant, Ren guessed, gestured her inside without a word. The office was a cathedral of glass and steel, all sharp edges and Seattle skyline views, the rain streaking down the windows like tears on a canvas. Soren sat behind a sleek desk, his damp suit swapped for a fresh one, charcoal gray with a tie, that probably cost more than her mom's last hospital visit. He didn't look up from his laptop, fingers tapping a rhythm she couldn't hear, and for a moment, she wondered if he'd forgotten her. "Ren Carter," he said finally, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade. He closed the laptop with a soft click and leaned back, those storm gray eyes locking onto her. "No relation, I assume?" She forced a laugh. brittle and thin. Nope. Just an unlucky coincidence.